The night shift always felt longer for Daniel. Driving the number 47 bus through the quiet outskirts of the city, he often joked to himself that the darkness stretched the roads, making every stop farther away. The fluorescent lights above hummed, the only sound apart from the engine's steady growl. Most nights, the bus was nearly empty. A few tired workers, a student or two, sometimes an old man heading home. But tonight, Daniel noticed something strange. At the back of the bus, in the very last row, sat a figure. Hood pulled low, head tilted down, completely still. Daniel had picked him up at the downtown stop an hour ago. What bothered him was that no one else had boarded since. Stop after stop, passengers came and went. A young woman with grocery bags. Two men laughing quietly. An elderly woman who thanked Daniel before stepping off. Yet the hooded figure remained. Always in the same seat. Always silent. Daniel adjusted his mirror for a better look. The figure's hands rested stiffly on their knees. Not a single movement. Not even a shift of posture. By midnight, the bus was empty except for him. Daniel cleared his throat. Last stop's coming up, buddy. His voice echoed in the hollow interior. No reply. He tried again, louder. Hey, you hear me? End of the line soon. The figure didn't move. A chill crawled up Daniel's neck. He parked at the final stop and flicked on the overhead lights. The bus glowed harsh white. Slowly, he walked down the aisle. His footsteps echoed against the metal floor. Sir, you need to get off now, he said firmly, forcing authority into his voice. He stopped 2 rows away. The figure still hadn't moved. With a shaky breath, Daniel reached out and tapped the shoulder. The hood slipped back. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The face staring at him wasn't living, it was pale, rotting, the skin sunken and gray. The eyes were milky white, yet they stared directly into his own. The corpse-like mouth opened, and a dry whisper rasped out. You should have crashed with us. Daniel stumbled backward, his heart slamming against his ribs. For a moment he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him, the fatigue of night shifts conjuring shadows where none existed. But the thing at the back of the bus wasn't a trick of light. It was real. The figure didn't move after speaking, its milky eyes fixed on him. The stench hit next, rotting flesh, damp earth, and rusted metal. Daniel gagged, clapping a hand over his mouth. He bolted down the aisle and out the bus doors, gulping the cold night air. For a long moment, he stood there, chest heaving, staring at the glowing interior. The bus sat silent, humming gently, nothing out of place. Gathering what little courage he had, he forced himself to climb back inside. The seat at the back was empty. Daniel froze, sweat chilling on his skin. No, I saw you. I heard you. He grabbed the steering wheel like an anchor, his knuckles white. It's just exhaustion, he whispered. Just my mind messing with me. But as he started the engine, the radio crackled to life, though he hadn't turned it on. Static hissed, then a distorted voice broke through, a chorus of tones layered over one another. Driver, you missed the stop. Daniel slammed the radio off. His pulse raced, but he forced the bus back onto the road. The empty streets stretched endlessly, neon signs flickering on closed shops. He kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the hooded figure again. And then he did. The passenger was there, back in the same seat, head tilted, hands on his knees. No sound, no movement, as if he'd never left. Daniel gripped the wheel so tightly his hands ached. You're not real, he muttered. You're not here. But when he blinked, he saw more. Reflected in the long mirror above, the bus was no longer empty. Every seat was filled. Figures slumped lifelessly, faces mangled, clothes torn and stained. Some still dripped with water as though they had drowned. Others were charred, smoke rising faintly from their skin. And all of them were staring straight at him. The hooded man lifted his rotting face again. His voice rasped, dry and final. You're driving the dead now. Daniel's grip tightened on the wheel, his knuckles pale. The dead passengers didn't move, but their hollow eyes tracked him in the mirror, unblinking. He dared not look back, terrified that if he turned, they would be closer, breathing down his neck. His voice cracked. This isn't real. I'm not crazy. You're not there. But the hooded man leaned forward, his words scraping like gravel. We were waiting for you. The bus jolted suddenly, swerving hard to the right as though pulled by unseen hands. Daniel yanked the wheel back, heart hammering. The tires screeched against the pavement. When he steadied the vehicle, he realized the city around him had changed. The neon lights were gone. The streets were darker, the buildings hollowed shells. Windows shattered. Lampposts bent. The world outside looked abandoned. Daniel gasped. Where the hell am I? He checked his route display, still Route 47. Still the same line. Yet he didn't recognize a single street. From the back, another voice rose. A woman's, soft and wet, like water dripping from her lungs. You forgot us, driver. You left us behind. Daniel shook his head violently. I don't know you. I didn't leave anyone. But deep down, a memory stirred. Whispers from the other drivers at the depot. The old legends about Route 47, the night it crashed 15 years ago on the highway curve. A bus full of passengers, driver included, all dead. Some said the road was cursed. Others swore they'd seen the ghost bus still making its rounds. Daniel's stomach turned cold. The hooded man stood now, bones creaking as he rose. He stepped into the aisle, shambling forward. His face was a ruin of rot, but his voice was steady. You're the driver tonight. And every driver finishes the route. The dead passengers stirred, their bodies shifting in unison. Their heads turned toward Daniel, jaws slowly opening. Low moans filled the bus like the sound of an approaching storm. Daniel's instincts screamed to abandon the wheel, to leap out the doors and run. But when he reached for the controls, they wouldn't respond. The engine roared on, the doors sealed tight. The bus was driving itself. And Daniel was trapped on a route that never ended. The wheel shuddered in Daniel's hands, fighting his grip as though something else were steering. The headlights cut through the fog outside, revealing a stretch of road he knew all too well, a sharp curve skirting the edge of Blackridge Ravine. His heart nearly stopped. That was the place. The curve from the stories. The site of the crash. No, he whispered, shaking his head. This can't be happening. This is just a story, an old ghost tale. The hooded man moved closer, his rotten face hovering just over Daniel's shoulder. The stench of decay filled his lungs. You'll take us where we last went, the corpse rasped. You'll finish what was never finished. Daniel yanked the wheel desperately, trying to brake, trying to stop, but the pedals locked stiff under his feet. The engine roared louder, dragging him toward the deadly bend. His reflection in the windshield blurred, distorted, as if he wasn't Daniel anymore, but another driver, uniformed and wide-eyed with terror. He realized with a sickening drop in his stomach, he was becoming the man from the crash. From the seats behind, voices rose in a haunting chorus. Children's cries. A woman screaming. A man shouting for help. All overlapping, filling the bus with the final moments of that night. Stop. Please, stop the bus. We're going to die. The dead passengers clutched the seats, their bodies jerking violently as though reliving the impact. Some had glass shards sticking from their faces, others with broken necks hung at impossible angles. Their agony replayed itself, over and over, and Daniel was in the center of it. No! Daniel shouted, his voice breaking. I'm not your driver. I didn't kill you. But the hooded figure leaned down, his whisper sharp as broken glass. Every driver becomes ours. And every route must end. The bus screamed into the curve, tires skidding. Daniel pulled the wheel with all his strength, but it was like wrestling the hands of a ghost. The ravine loomed ahead, black and bottomless. For a split second, Daniel thought he saw headlights beside him. Another bus, his own, but crushed, burning, mangled at the bottom of the ravine. He saw twisted metal, charred bodies, and himself, staring back from behind shattered glass. The bus lurched, and Daniel knew he was seconds away from joining them. The tires screamed against the asphalt as the bus tore into the curve. Daniel wrenched the wheel, praying for a miracle, but the machine had a will of its own. The headlights cut across the cliff edge, revealing the yawning black ravine below. "No, no, no," he cried, slamming his foot against the frozen brake. Sparks flew as metal shrieked. The passengers screamed as one, an inhuman chorus of pain and terror. Some clawed at the windows, their broken fingers snapping like brittle wood. Others hurled themselves into the aisle, faces twisted in panic, reenacting the final seconds of their lives. Daniel's ears rang with their cries. His vision blurred with tears. And then, the bus lifted. For an impossible moment, the vehicle soared weightless, suspended above the cliff, headlights beaming into nothingness. Daniel's stomach dropped as gravity yanked him downward. He braced for the crushing impact, shattered glass, twisted steel, his body torn apart. But the crash never came. Instead, silence. When Daniel opened his eyes, the bus was parked neatly on the roadside. The engine hummed softly, as though nothing had happened. The world outside was eerily still, the road stretching endlessly in both directions. Breathing hard, Daniel staggered to his feet. The seats behind him were empty. No rotting passengers. No hooded figure. Was it over? He whispered. He stumbled down the aisle and out the doors, his legs trembling. Cold night air rushed over him, sharp and real. He bent down, clutching his knees, sucking in deep breaths. Then he froze. The ground beneath his feet wasn't asphalt. It was broken glass. Twisted metal. Burnt wood. He looked up. The bus was there, but not whole. Not clean. It lay at the bottom of the ravine, mangled, smoke rising from its wreckage. Charred bodies lay scattered, their mouths still open in silent screams. Daniel staggered backward, horror flooding him. He turned only to see headlights glaring down at him from above. Another bus was approaching the curve. His bus. Driven by him. The hooded man's voice whispered right behind his ear. "It never ends." Daniel screamed as the second bus careened over the edge, crashing into the wreckage. And the cycle began again. Daniel's scream was swallowed by the thunder of crushing metal. The world twisted, the sound of glass shattering and bones snapping echoing all around him. He braced for pain, for the tearing agony of death, but it never came. When the chaos cleared, he was back in the driver's seat. The bus engine rumbled beneath him, steady and alive, headlights cutting through the darkness. His hands gripped the wheel. His uniform was spotless. The road stretched out ahead, endless and familiar. "No," Daniel whispered, trembling. "No, no, this isn't real. I'm not here. I didn't die." The mirror above showed the truth. Every seat behind him was filled. The passengers were back. Mangled faces. Broken bodies. Dripping wounds. Their pale eyes locked on him with silent expectation. The hooded man sat in the rear, unmoving. Daniel's chest tightened. His heart hammered like a drum. "Please," he begged, voice cracking. "I don't belong here. I'm not your driver. I didn't crash that bus." The hooded man slowly lifted his ruined head. His voice carried over the quiet hum of the engine. "Every route needs a driver. Tonight, it's you." Daniel shook violently, sweat running down his face. "I have a life. A job. A family waiting at home." His voice was desperate, cracking with hysteria. "I'm not part of this." The hooded man's milky eyes seemed to pierce through him. "Neither were we." Yet here we are. Daniel slammed the brakes. Nothing. He yanked the wheel hard left. The bus didn't respond. He threw open the door controls, dead silent. The machine was no longer his. The passengers stirred, their moans swelling into a dreadful symphony. The drowned woman gurgled water with every breath. A child with glass through her cheek whimpered softly. A burned man's skin peeled as he turned his head, whispering, "Take us home." Daniel clutched his skull, sobbing. Where? Where is home? The bus answered. The world outside shifted, the city vanishing into a blur of shadows. For an instant, Daniel saw something impossible, a stretch of road lined with gravestones, stretching forever into the horizon. Each headstone bore a name, and he recognized some. Faces of his passengers. Faces of the dead. And then his eyes froze on one freshly carved stone. Daniel Cross, driver. His breath caught in his throat. No, it's not. I'm still alive. But when he looked in the mirror again, he barely recognized the reflection. His skin was pale, drained. His eyes dull and lifeless. The longer he stared, the more his face looked like theirs, sunken, ruined, hollow. The bus hummed forward, unstoppable. The hooded man rose, shuffling down the aisle toward the front. He stopped at Daniel's side, lowering himself into the seat beside him. For the first time, his mouth curled into what might have been a smile. You see now. The road never ends. We drive until another takes your place. Until then, his decayed hand rested on Daniel's shoulder, ice cold. You're one of us. Daniel's body shook violently. He wanted to scream, to fight, to run, but his voice died in his throat. His hands moved back to the wheel, stiff and unyielding. His feet pressed the pedals. He wasn't in control anymore. He was driving, yes, but not for himself. The passengers fell silent, their hollow eyes still fixed on him. The bus roared, carrying its cargo of the damned into the endless night. As the darkness swallowed the road ahead, Daniel realized the cruelest truth of all. There would be no waking from this. No escape. He was the driver of the forgotten. And the route would claim him forever.